Your party is the left-wing party, which was launched by Jeremy Corbyn, former leader of the Labour Party, Zara Sultana, very much associated with it. It has had a rocky few months, guys. Let's go out and say it. Lots of infighting, lots of disputes going on. It's been messy, but huge numbers of people signed up to it. There was a lot of excitement and enthusiasm, and there still is amongst various people. So I've come to Liverpool to find out, is this a runner? Can it be salvaged? Especially given there are actually really good, decent people who want to change the country, who actually feel this could work. Can it work? Will it work?
There's clearly an appetite for left-wing politics in the UK.
There's a massive deficit in trust in any political party.
Your party has an opportunity to bring people together that no one else really does.
This is the last throw of the dice, we know that. We've heard for years it's socialism or barbarism, and it is socialism or barbarism now. We're in a difficult situation.
There has been some really just bad behaviour.
Behaviours that aren't mature, that aren't reflective of the moment that we're in. Like, we're supposed to be like responding to the rise of fascism in this country, right? That's what the narrative is, or what we're saying to each other, but nonetheless it's like we're like heckling each other.
It's been a mess. It's very disorganised, but we want it to work, and we're really trying to make it work.
If we balls this up, then my grandkid's going to hate me.
We're here today to do something dramatic, to found a new democratic socialist party in Britain that can challenge power in our society. That's what's brought us together.
Your barometer for success for this weekend. This was a good, successful 2 days. What would you?
We leave here with unity. We leave here with agreement. We leave here with determination. Equality, sustainability, peace.
Bringing you some breaking news now. Sky News has been told that Zara Sultana is boycotting the opening day of your party's conference in Liverpool after the expulsion of some members.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say. Zara Sultana is boycotting the first day of the Your Party conference in protest at, for example, the action taken against members of the Socialist Workers' Party. I shouldn't laugh. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to be honest. This is a bit crazy. It's the main news now. Coming out of the conference, it's being splashed all over newspapers and all the rest of it. That's the main thing that people are get from this conference. Not great for a party which is trying to obviously launch itself to the country after all this turmoil in the last few months. We're going to go talk to Zara. I've got some questions, I'm not going to lie. Look, can I just show you? This is The Guardian. And so the main headline now is Your Party conference thrown into chaos as Zara Sultana boycotts first day. I guess, because the last few weeks have been, Your Party's been associated with quite a lot of turmoil. And I guess a lot of people might have thought this conference was an opportunity to kind of speak to the country and get...
100%. That's what I thought until people were being expelled and there was a witch hunt that took place. And I think pretending that that hasn't happened is just not being honest, especially when from the outset I've constantly spoken about member democracy, and this is, like I said, a culture that reminds me of the Labour Party, and so many people left the Labour Party, myself included, to not create another Labour Party.
If people wanted a central dictatorship, they would join the Labour Party. People don't want that, and I think the leadership here need to understand that we want a member-led democratic party, and the commitment to that overrides a commitment to Jeremy Corbyn or other political figures. It's about democratic socialism. It's not about figureheads or celebrities or anything like that. We want a member-led democracy.
Tomorrow the vote is going to be on setting up a leadership grouping, which is a good thing, because that means you'll bring together a group of people to be a committee who will therefore be tasked with setting that up. They'll then decide on what sort of leadership structure they want, whether appointed by that group, which I think would be probably seen as a bit undemocratic, or somebody elected by the whole membership, or a group of people elected by the membership. Let's see what comes out of tomorrow. But whatever comes out, I'll go along with it.
We're arguing for maximum democracy within a party. Traditional parties, hitherto in all existing society, have reflected in their structures, practices and modes of behaviour the society that they come from. And what we're saying is that our party has to be structured in a way that it reflects the type of society we're trying to build, because we genuinely believe that without a democratic party, you'll never be able to build a democratic society.
Do you think it's going to work?
It might. I'm not sure, to be honest, but I really do want it to work. I've put a lot of work into we've put a lot of work into trying to build constructive proposals to, help build the best party possible. And that's what we've been doing in the Democratic Socialists. We put together a big constitution. We've done major interventions. We put forward the idea of a collective leadership, which is now going to be voted on at conference. So we've been doing a lot to try and get this party to a position where we can go forward.
How many would be in a collective leadership?
I think the current proposal is that there would be 20 CEC members.
20 people, though. So there'd be no single leader. There would be 20 leaders.
The point is there would be spokespeople who would effectively act as the party's front-facing, but the political decisions would be made as a collective. We want this to be a party that is responsive to the membership, led from the ground up, and able to campaign everywhere and make real change and secure wins.
That just sounds like a lot of meetings, and the left's associated with a lot of meetings, and rather than being empowering, a lot of people find that grinds them down, drives them out. Only the people who are most committed, and that's a certain type of person, end up dominating.
Yeah. Democracy is more than voting, We're not talking about having to have meetings on absolutely everything. It's also about building a democratic culture, a participatory culture, a collective culture, rather than the kind of present system where members are sort of kettled off into sort of atomised lumps away from one another. And we're saying that, politics has to be done differently. Socialist politics has to reflect in its structures, practices and modes of behaviour the society that it's trying to build, because otherwise we'll never get there.
Zara Sultana helped found this party, but after some members were expelled on the eve of this conference, she's once again hit out at colleagues.
We are here to be the home of the left, a home for all socialists. This is not how you treat members. This is what the Labour Party did, where people were expelled, members were treated just like volunteers, not allowed to actually make decisions and just thrown on the scrap heap. We're here to treat people with respect.
So there's been a bit of a kerfuffle at the opening conference because various people were told that they were banned, they couldn't come in. Witch hunt! That's what some people have cried. Socialist Workers' Party are the main focus there. I think the argument from those supporting the move are, well, you agree when you sign up that you're not a member of the political party. A lot of people from the SWP a bit much for various reasons. But I want to find out, there's a division about what the culture should be, I guess. So I chatted to the National Secretary of the SWP who was banned, and this caused a big uproar. Is it reasonable or is it unreasonable? You have been banned from conference. What happened?
Well, look, I think it's a real shame because we're in a situation where Farage is going to be the next Prime Minister. Starmer's an awful government. We need a party like this to succeed. And it's a shame that yesterday I got an email when I'd arrived in Liverpool saying that myself and other members of the SWP weren't welcome.
In the SWP, you can't set up an internal faction. You can do that before conference, and if you set up a permanent faction in the SWP, you're going to get expelled.
Well, I'm glad you know the ins and outs of democratic socialism, Owen. The SWP is a revolutionary socialist organisation. We organise in a certain way. We think it makes us quite effective. The Anti-Nazi League, the Stop the War movement, what we're doing with anti-fascism today. So we think that works. Your party should be a mass party. 800,000 people signed up to it. We think that's great. Britain needs a new left. We want to support it. We want to be part of it. We don't want to control it.
I guess this is what I'm interested in. We've had 100 years of Western Trotskyism. 100 years. And in the last few years, we've had the most intense turmoil, tumult, chaos since World War II. And I know the SWP and other groups are good at organising in terms of the Anti-Nazi League, they're kind of being kind of organisational muscle for things. But you've not grown in any meaningful way. None of these groups have. And I guess a lot of people would ask, at what point do you kind of reassess the model? Because you've lived through all this turmoil. And the SWP, despite everything, isn't meaningfully any bigger than it ever was. It's actually smaller than it was in less chaotic times.
Well, look, this is exactly the kind of questions I think we need to ask and the debate we need to have. My view is this, right? In Britain, I wish there was a way that we could get fundamental change through Parliament and through electing people. I think 150 years of the Labour Party tradition has shown you can't do that. Right? I'm up for a debate about how you do that. My view is movements from below, struggles by working class people, the Palestine movement, the movement against racism. My view is that is where our power lies. And if you look at those, Owen, we have been not the only ones, but we have thrown ourselves into them and we've built them. This is historic. People my age, my generation, friends I went to school with who aren't on the hard left, they signed up to your party. They know that capitalism's shit. They know that the genocide is awful and they're instinctively anti-racist. The people who are pissing away that opportunity is not the SWP. The people pissing it away are some of the people who have made the mistakes in your party. We are arguing for a vision which we think we share with people like Zara, with others on the left, that your party needs to be insurgent, and we want to get this show on the road. Do I think everyone's going to become revolutionary socialists like I am overnight? No. But I think we have a role to play in it. So I think the attacks on the SWP have to stop. We are seriously committed to making this thing a success, to running candidates, and to making it insurgent. What's the problem?
SWP. Are we really sad about SWP not being here?
I think that was a shrewd move. I think, it was a bit of a night of the long knives, but I think it had to be done, nip it in the bud immediately because, former member of Militant, I know how we operate. We're interests, we cherry pick the best members. At the meetings we tell you how wonderful you all are and then say there's left reformists anyway and try and pick the best members. You've got one rule for one and one rule for all, I'm afraid. It's like, I don't mind some people from the Socialist Party, I've got a couple of good friends here. But then what do you do with the Spartacist League? Do you let the Spartacist League come in? They're crazy. You can't let these people in. You've got to have a strict rule. It's just crazy. We're one party.
I'm not a personal fan of the SWP, but I feel as though, on principle, we shouldn't be removing people's membership unless they're a member of a party that directly goes against what we are organising for. So say Labour, Tories, Reform. If you're a member of a party that is fighting for the same thing we're fighting for, I'm from Wigan. There's no left-wing organising in Wigan aside from your party and Stand Up to Racism and the SWP. So if you've lived there before your party exists, you are going to be in the SWP if you're left-wing. Telling people that they need to leave immediately when we don't even have proper lines yet. I feel as though people are also committed to these local parties that they have connection with, that they've been organising with. So I feel like, it sets a really difficult precedent if we don't actually allow dual membership within the party.
I'm not doing this because of the SWP. I'm doing this because members should decide who is allowed into our conference, what memberships are allowed, and whether we should allow dual membership. It should not be a nameless, faceless bureaucrat at the top of the party where power is concentrated.
I guess I'm just curious in terms of what you see in terms of how the party survives, I guess, because, obviously there was a dispute when you launched the party, and obviously Jeremy Corbyn didn't support that at the time, and then set up the membership portal. And people might go, whatever grievances you have, doesn't all of this just cause chaos, which is, it can't survive any of it. How will it survive this now, do you think?
I did not make the decision to expel people on the morning of conference. I've always had the intention of fighting for maximum member democracy. All the kind of teething issues that everyone knows about have been about a vision for the party, whether it's led by MPs, whether power is concentrated at the top, or whether it is led by its members. And when I've travelled up and down the country and I've spoken at over 32 events, I've spoken to thousands of members, one message I've got from that is people want a party that's led by its members, not MPs. They do not want this toxic culture of leaks to right-wing journalists, of bullying, intimidation and sabotage, like what I experienced before I went on BBC Question Time, including witch hunts on the morning of conference. That is not what people want from this party. And when you ask whether this party can survive it, yes, it can. It's got 50,000 members. 1 in 10 people would still vote for this party if an election was held. And so to just call it quits when it has been slightly messy on the question of democracy, I don't think is a fair point to make, and I'm definitely not calling it quits.
So Zara Sultana, let's just talk about this head on. She did the launch of the party, which you didn't agree to, and then she launched a membership portal. That caused this big public, furore. Did that? I mean, isn't that what's kind of hugely damaged the project? Those unilateral decisions.
That was a problem. Absolutely, you're quite correct. I like to think we've now got past and beyond that, and I think it was unfortunate, to put it mildly, but there's no point in overanalyzing it. It's happened.
What about the conference? Because she has huge amounts of money which were amassed because of the membership portal. Did that cause massive problems with the conference because it costs a lot of money to
It did, until about 2 weeks ago, when we managed to get... We were very worried that we'd be able to even pay for the conference 2 weeks ago, but we managed to now get enough money in that we've now able to pay for everything at the conference, and that of course has happened, and the rest of the money, I'm assured, is coming very quickly, and I'm determined.
Why hasn't it been transferred?
I can't answer that question because it's not me who's transferring it.
There's legitimate politics here, right? In terms of, some people might think Jeremy represents the past, Zara the future. There may be particular differences on political issues or positions. But beyond politics, there has been some really just bad behaviour from Zara. A lot of money was raised from ordinary people, it seems on false pretences, and a lot of that, as far as I know, hasn't been either refunded or transferred to the new party. So aside from the politics, that raises all sorts of problematic questions about basic ethical and frankly democratic behaviour.
So my understanding is her camp would say you can't do it in one go, and there's questions about potential liabilities under the law and the need for reassurances over that.
Yeah, I mean, this is just language designed to obfuscate, right? Because what are the liabilities? The truth is that your party isn't actually asking or claiming the money that was raised through that fake membership portal on the 18th of September. They're asking for the money that was legitimately raised by agreement before the party was set up. And what are the liabilities in respect of that? That's just money that was held in trust for the new party that wasn't transferred to the new party once it was set up. So I don't buy it, and it's hiding behind a kind of language that I think is deliberately trying to distract attention from what's actually happened.
So what do you think Zara Sultana's camp, what do you think the motives are?
I think at the end of the day, you've always got to ask questions about money, right? And when people are trying to control money and people are using money in seemingly unfair or illegitimate ways, then it comes down to power. It's about power. And the truth is, there is a legitimate way of contesting power. It's over here, it's in a leadership election, and Zara could do that. But this is not politics. This is not about any kind of real democratic process. This is just classic power maneuvers.
On the leadership model, conference. Conference, you voted option B. You voted for a collective leadership.
Today, we will finalise the structures of a party that belongs to its members, not to MPs, not to donors, not to nameless, faceless, unelected bureaucrats, but you, its members. Some will say that the decision to adopt the collective leadership model is a win for me. It is not. It is your win. It is you, the members, who have won.
There's a false dynamic here, right, where you have to either be on Team Corbyn or on Team Zara. I'm on neither. Our position is quite clear. We're for team democracy.
I get that, but then if it's not dependent on those two, all the independent MPs, what is it? It's just like another party. It's just like, lots of other very small left parties. You have this base because of them.
You and I both know someone who once said that politics wasn't about personalities, it's about issues.
No, he said that. What he's saying is how political debate should have been conducted.
Yeah.
Tony Benn was a very clear central leading figure.
Definitely.
And the point I was making is whether you like it or not, because there's one kind of idealised view of how politics should work, and I understand that. There was no point pretending that 800,000 people would have signed up principally Jamie Corbyn and also Zara Sultana. It's just not. It's just because who would have done the appeal? Who would have done it? You know.
I'm not pretending otherwise, right? But 800,000 people signed up to a mailing list, and the people at the top fucked it up so much that only 50,000 of them joined the.
Because they had a very public buster, which most people just found extremely unappealing. You know?
I agree, right? It took the Labour Party 24 years to form a government from its foundation. These things take time. Everyone's looking for shortcuts. There's no shortcut to power.
I think the argument that we need time to grow, it doesn't really stand for me, because there's not time. Every council election and devolved election that we have, Reform are gaining more and more ground, and we're losing more and more ground. And so I think I'm going to walk out of here joining the Greens in a couple of days.
What was it? What's kept you from joining the Greens already?
I think it was coming here because I wanted to sort of experience this and see what it was all about, and if I was being too harsh and critical on it. But I think the factionalism that I've seen has shown to me that it might not be a viable path.
The Greens are looking a lot more attractive under their new leadership, particularly to people from a left viewpoint. But they're not fundamentally a socialist party, and they do contain a lot of people who are quite dodgy on some issues, like on Palestine, for example. Quite a few Zionists kicking around the Greens, and quite a lot of middle-class environmentalists who don't really want to see fundamental change in the social order, just wish to see slightly more environmentally friendly policies.
We're aiming specifically towards people who believe in socialist politics, who believe that politics needs to be have a class orientation. And, you know, the Greens don't represent that. They're middle-class liberals with bright ideas.
Well, I think that's where you're going to struggle to convince people, because I think you might think that's fine, but I think the average normie who's a lefty would probably get annoyed at you say that. And they would say, look, he's this eco-socialist, he supports public ownership, but Green Party policy is banning landlords, obviously a load of class politics-based policies, and they just think, look, you're a mess. Your party's all over the shop, and then you're saying this guy's a middle-class liberal, and
I never said Zach Polanski was a middle-class liberal. I said the Green Party is a party of middle-class liberals with bright ideas, right? And that's because they don't have a socialist analysis.
You don't want to end up surely in a kind of look like the kind of grumpy people in the corner who, whilst the Greens are, doing really well in the polls, like you don't want to sound like we're this groupie kind of like, oh, they're middle-class liberals,
No, but that's the politics that they represent, fundamentally.
Look, let's be honest, most people who were excited about this they've moved their attention to the Green Party.
Yeah,
and look,
which is...
Well, I mean, you laugh.
Well, I'm laughing. The Green Party, there's nothing social about the Green Party. There's not one thing on nationalisation. They didn't...
Oh, there is. Oh, come on, don't be daft.
No, there's not.
They do support nationalisation.
No, they don't support.
Not the entire economy, but...
No.
Yeah.
They
support nationalisation, that's definitely true, I know that.
They don't support nationalisation. They bloody well don't, I know for a fact.
Oh, they do support nationalisation?
No, they don't.
Water, energy, all the rest of it. Yes,
no, they don't. No, they don't.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that.
Well, you can disagree what you like.
It's in their manifesto.
Look, I'm old, I've lived a lot longer before you were born. I know they do not support nationalism.
You can say you were born before me, that's true, but it doesn't detract from the fact objectively they do support nationalisation.
No, they don't. Their leaders didn't say that. What he said at wealth tax, fair enough. It's reform inside.
He supports public ownership of utilities and services.
But what he said, I heard him deny it. I heard him on. Well, I did. He does not support.
Okay.
He didn't say.
But do you think this isn't going to win people back from the Greens? I think this is the issue because they seem positive and kind of good vibes. It's not very good vibing.
They're liberals. What they are, they're a bunch of liberals.
Right. Well, that's not going to win people over because they've got 170,000 members. A lot of those members, there's people who signed up to this.
I think a lot of people look at this, if I'm honest, and a lot of normies, if you like, and they just go, this is too much. This is, and including, by the way, the stuff you're saying about the people briefing against you. So a lot of people are very supportive of you and in solidarity with you. They're angry as well. But you're painting a picture of a kind of very toxic, just internally divided place, which a lot of people just think life's too short. There's Green Party, they're better vibes. Why should I waste my time?
Because this is a party worth fighting for. If we should just settle with what already exists, I don't think we would have fought for the NHS and won that if people just were told, you know what, the status quo is what it is. Why should you fight for anything different? Why should you fight for something better? That is not the politics I come from. And what I believe is that if we establish democratic foundations, if we have a party that is led by its members, that is explicitly socialist, that is going to build social power in our communities, as well as being an electoral vehicle, then we can change this country for the better. And I've been across Europe, I've spoken to people who have set up new left-wing parties, and it's never easy at the start. And it's important that we get the foundations right. Democracy is at the heart of this, and then we can definitely go out into communities and organise and win.
I think a united left party is not going to look like a united right party ever. And I think we need to acknowledge that. It's just because different ideals. And I think that this is like unprecedented. What's happening is like we're coming together to form the structural organizational kind of basis for this party, and it's been done through like a bottom-up approach, and so it's completely new territory, and it is difficult, and there's many obstacles. It's frustrating, but it's so exciting to be here, you know. So overall, like, I'm leaving with like a sense of like optimism, you know, moving forward now.
Yeah. The task has been today is to get up and running, just to start it off, and then the members then take it in a direction.
It's not perfect, it's messy, it's ugly, and I think it's a bit like childbirth. I have 3 lovely boys. I wanted a beautiful childbirth experience. I had music I was going to give birth to. I'd chosen essential oils, and actually I had a falling out with the midwife. There was a big row. I ended up having an emergency cesarean. I had all the drugs, and you know what? It was messy, it was ugly, and after all of it, no one even remembers. All they remember is a healthy child.
So my view is the left has a bigger opportunity than it's had ever in lots of ways. Structurally, there's reasons for that. The economic system has self-evidently failed. It's been in meltdown basically for about 2 decades. Unprecedented squeeze in living standards, the public realm collapsing, the rise of fascism, the calamities of the foreign wars like Iraq, Afghanistan, the chaos enveloping the world, the climate emergency, and of course the genocide committed by the Israeli state with Western arms and support. And the Labour Party has obviously, abandoned its historic mission. The Green Party have managed to get that energy in their direction. And your party had obviously huge potential because of how many people signed up. So many people particularly respect Jeremy Corbyn. And a lot of that has, let's just be honest, it's been wasted. And I think people involved need to reflect on that. The people who took decisions which were definitely not in the best interest of building something new that appealed to a large number of people a lot of people just walked off, decided this is too much of a mess. I think it'd be a shame if they wasted the energy. There's great people here who want to change the world, full of idealism, full of commitment, and I think whatever your party become, it owes it to them to try and make the best of it. So I think time to learn some lessons, move on from the really ridiculous infighting, and actually start thinking about building movements, working with the Greens, and try and build something new. Let's see if they can pull it off, but it does mean ending the sort of behaviour which has been so self-destructive. Please like and subscribe with your thoughts and your comments. Help us, as ever, take on the pro-corporate media at patreon.com/OHS84. Share the video, I'll speak to you in a bit.